Hi, I'm Breanna Dumbacher. I'm the iPad art director at Vox Magazine, where we produce a weekly iPad edition of Vox, which is rare for a student iPad publication. There aren't that many out there that we know of that are doing this sort of thing week to week. So basically this issue is put through production by me and two of my assistants who are also working with the design of publication, as well as all of the editors and web producers and print TAs. The whole team has a hand in the iPad because they put everything through the print production, including online exclusive sidebars or things like that. So all of that then comes to me and my couple of assistants, and on Wednesday nights we put it all into an iPad issue and make it interactive. So I'm here to tell you a little bit about it and show it to you. A little bit about the process, because a lot of people have some questions about how we make an iPad app. We use a program called Mag+. It's really pretty simple. It's similar to InDesign. And we design it on Sundays. Usually we have designers who come in on Sundays to design the departments and the features. And from there, we let everything go through the print production process with the editors. And then on Wednesday, we spend about 5 to 7 hours putting the correct text in, making everything interactive, making sure things scroll the right way. And then we give the editors another window to proof it, a couple hours on Wednesday night. We make all those changes and we upload it to Mag+, who hosts the issue for us and lets us have it in the iTunes store for people to see and download for free. So a couple of the issues that are kind of cool and noteworthy that I want to show. This is a true-false issue, and this is the cover, which, of course, my little blurb is covering it up. So one of our designers, who actually also helps with the iPad, did this cover in After Effects using the animation there. So she just took a couple of the photos that we had from a photo shoot in print and kind of added this over it to give it a cool design effect. Short videos like this work really well on the iPad. They keep people engaged, they kind of surprise you, and that's what we're going for with iPad design. It's a lot more than does it look cool on the page visually. It's about, does it surprise your reader and keep them entertained? And this package as a whole, it was a theme issue, and so the entire thing kind of has this similar kind of look to it, and it's pretty cool. A lot of the times our cooler issues, they're all pretty cool, I think, but again, I've worked on it for a year, so the ones that are the most fun for me are our theme issues that kind of break out of the template. So this is another one we did at the end of last year. It was a year in retrospect issue, and we kind of blew up our print edition and our iPad edition to have this month-by-month presentation of content. And so on the iPad, we followed a lot of what print had, but then we added these pop-up elements where you had black and white images that popped up to color using lots of white space. So I think this is just a really fun way to keep, like I said, the reader engaged, entertained, making sure their hand is constantly having something to do on the page, because that helps draw them in and want to read the story. So we kind of just went month by month with a really simple, clear presentation. The entire issue kind of matches. And told things about the year that we thought were notable that people should revisit or not forget as they headed to a new year. So another one that I really liked was a department page, actually. So this is kind of a typical issue that we've done. And I think it's just important to note on the iPad, you don't have to have something, special, a special edition of the print edition to do something cool on the iPad. So this story was about the new Hunger Games movie was being released, and we did a story in print about who we would choose for our Hunger Games team if Columbia were to send tributes. So it was a cool concept in print, and so on the iPad I wanted to give it kind of a featurized presentation to make this kind of cool thing come alive. So we have these jump links down, so you can see you can tap on one of those names at the top and you can go back up. So that's another layer of interactivity, linking from one page to the next. And then we also have, once you get there, another pop-up for the text piece. So this piece just had a lot of interactivity to it. We also had multimedia pieces for each of the characters that we chose, which was pretty cool. I'll play a little bit of this one. They're nice multimedia pieces, and it's nice that we can include that on the iPad. That's something that was very different from print because you can't have those. I don't know if my audio is hooked up here. Looks like no. That's okay. You can get the gist of it. So we had just our multimedia team, as Nicole presented before, does a really nice job about making content that we can add to our iPad app to make it interesting for our readers. And I think it is also a place to kind of take a risk in presentation and make something that's a little bit, make something that's a little bit bolder and more fun, because that is what people are looking for on the iPad. A lot of times they're reading it late at night or just when they have a break, and it's kind of a leaning back experience. And so you want to be able to have that interactive, fun layer and to be surprised. So I think that is reflected in the design as well as the planning of multimedia elements. So a little bit about how Mag Plus works. I get a lot of questions about that actually, and it's not as scary as it seems. To some of the designers that I've worked with are really used to working with print, and when you tell them, oh, okay, you're gonna design on an iPad, they get kind of scared. But really, this doesn't require much coding at all. You can definitely add HTML elements to it, but again, that depends on your level of expertise with coding, as well as your time in the weekly production cycle. So generally we stick to Mag Plus options, which this is a screenshot of a Mag Plus page. You can see it looks very similar to InDesign, although the page is shaped differently to fit an iPad screen. This page actually scrolls down forever and ever. It cuts off at some point, but it's a very long vertical page so that you can have scrolling layers on the page. But yeah, so it's not too different. You have the same basic page layout margins as an InDesign document, and a lot of the same bars along the side to help you change font sizes, things like that. So you're actually doing that in a design program rather than a coding program. The things that are different, this is really big, but there are a couple boxes, the Mag Plus reviewer boxes. There's Mag Plus object, vertical, and settings, which just are fancy names to say these are the boxes we use to add pop-ups or to add links out to videos, things like that. So if we wanted to add a pop-up, this arrow shows, I would change that thing that says block and I would call it a pop-up, and then I would have to name in the object ID, link that name to another name in a different box. So it's a little bit complicated, but it's really just another 5 steps that if you learn it once, it's not too hard to keep going. So not as scary as code might seem. Probably the scariest part of iPad designing is exporting the app, which again we do through Mag Plus, which pulls through Photoshop and a lot of different things like that. But you go to this little box again and you can hit fast review if Mizzou Wireless is working, or you can hit export and it'll go to a different app on the desktop that is the Mag Plus reviewer tool, in which you can make what's called a MIB, which is just the file name for the issue that we create, and then you can send that out to people to be proofed and eventually upload it to the iTunes store. So like I said, it's not too scary. It looks similar to InDesign. Here you can see a wider view of the screen. You can see the page is a little bit longer. And so if I were designing that black box, I would have it static on the page, but the gray one, since it goes past the blue border on the bottom, you could have it scrolling. So it's not too scary, and it does have a lot of fun things that we can use with it. And the last thing I just want to show is we did actually go through a redesign on the iPad just like print did. I worked on taking those print styles and translating them to a way that looked good on the iPad. So this is our first redesign issue that you probably saw in print, but we have kind of that same new branding logo with the V, and we just kind of took some of those print elements to update our app. We added this pulse page, which has some fun pop-ups to it. So there's a lot of ways that you can take print content or other content that maybe you brainstorm with a print mindset, if that's how you kind of see yourself in the journalism world, and then ask how can I make this interactive? How can I make it fun on the iPad? And a lot of times it's as simple as some things that scroll. Let's see if I can get one of those. So here we have our ACW, our Q&A scrolling, which is another nice interactive thing that's pretty easy to do. And we also have in this issue some audio, which is really fun. Let's see if this plays.
Hello, this is Walter Bargan, and I'm going to read the poem When the Cows Come Home. Where my friend and I camped once a year, late in the summer, was between high pine-studded hills. It was my grandfather.
And you can tap to pause it. So it's kind of cool. We had them reading their own poems that we had the entire version on the iPad, which we were only able to fit an excerpt in print. So lots of cool things on the iPad.
Do we have any questions for Breanna or any of the other Vox team? Let me just ask you, since we've been giving a shout out throughout the Tech Showcase to mentors, we've been working with Sarah Shipley-Hiles to arrange the presentation, but I see several other magazine faculty and folks back there. You want to identify the rest of your mentors on the Vox team?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that work with Vox. I mean, we have the whole TA staff. Caroline's back there. She's our current editor-in-chief. Definitely, you know, when I have tech problems, I go to Rob and he helps me out. And Sarah is always there for web production. So it's definitely a team effort, and there's a lot of people who have a hand in every part of Vox.
Well, let's say thanks to the Vox team for 3 great presentations.